Welcome back to the deep dive. We're continuing our journey through the Manual of Patent Examining Procedure.
Yep.
Today, we're diving into Chapter 2100, Patentability, and getting really specific with Section 2161.
That's right. Section 2161, it's pretty crucial. It lays out these three core requirements for your patent specification, the written part.
Okay.
These come from the law, 35 U.S.C. 112A. Or if you're dealing with an older application, it's the Pre-AIA version, first paragraph of a 112.
And those three requirements are?
Written description, enablement, and best mode. The big three for disclosure.
Got it. So basically non-negotiables if you want your patent application to fly.
Absolutely. Yeah. You have to meet all three.
Yeah.
And before we really jump into the weeds on those, we should definitely give a shout out.
Oh, for sure.
A big thanks to Mike Shepard. He's really the creative director behind this whole MPEP series. Yeah. His vision, his organization, it's what makes this whole thing possible.
Totally agree. Mike's contribution here is huge, helping us all make sense of this pretty dense material.
Yeah.
So back to these three things. In 2161, written description, enablement, best mode. They're listed together, but they're not just like variations on a theme, are they?
No, not at all. That's a really important point. The courts have made it super clear, even though they stem from the same bit of law, they are independent requirements, legally distinct.
Independent obligations. Okay.
Yeah. And there's a key case that really drives this home, Ariad v. Eli Lilly.
Ariad, right. What was the main point from Ariad on this?
Well, Ariad basically said, look, just because you've told someone how to make and use the invention, that's the enablement part, that doesn't automatically mean you've properly described what your invention actually is. Described it enough to prove you really possessed it when you filed.
Oh, okay.
Written description has that specific job showing possession. It's proving I had this specific invention, not just here's how you get something working.
That's critical difference. Okay, so let's tackle written description first. What's the core idea there? What does an inventor need to show?
The main goal of the written description is to convey clearly to someone who's skilled in that particular technology.
The famous person skilled in the art.
Exactly, that person. It has to show them that the inventor actually possessed the claimed invention on the filing date.
And just hinting at it isn't good enough, right? The specifics, the details matter a lot.
Oh, absolutely. Detail is key. The MPEP points out that just, stating what you want the invention to do, the result.
A cure for the common cold.
Right. Or using really broad functional language like a device for fastening things. That's often not going to cut it for showing you possessed a specific invention. You need more substance.
Okay, can you give sort of a more concrete example of what wouldn't pass that written description test?
Sure. Let's say you invented, I don't know, a new kind of catalyst for a chemical reaction. And in your description, you just say an improved catalyst for reaction X. That describes a function, a desired outcome. But it doesn't tell us what the catalyst is, what's its structure, its composition. Without that, you haven't really shown you possess that specific catalyst when you filed.
Right. It's like saying, I've got a faster way to travel, without saying if it's a car, a plane, or, teleportation device.
Exactly that. And there's a case, Lizard Tech v. Earth Resource Mapping, that really illustrates this point well. What was the deal there?
Lizard Tech. I think that involved a patent claiming a broad method for seamless wavelet transformation.
Right.
But the catch was, the patent only described one specific technique for doing it.
That's precisely it. The claim was super broad, trying to cover any method for achieving that seamless result. But the specification, it only laid out one particular way, one embodiment. So the court said, nope, that broad claim isn't valid.
Why not?
Because just describing one specific example, one species, doesn't automatically prove you possess the entire category, the whole genus that you were trying to claim.
So the takeaway is, if you want broad claims, you need to back them up. Show you've thought beyond just one narrow example.
Exactly. Your disclosure has to provide enough support, enough description to reasonably show you were in possession of the full scope of what you're claiming.
Okay, that clarifies written description quite a bit. So let's switch gears. Second requirement, enablement. What's the focus here?
Enablement is all about teaching. The specification has to act like a manual. It needs to teach that person skilled in the art how to actually make and use the claimed invention.
Okay.
And crucially, without having to do what the law calls undue experimentation.
Undue experimentation. That's subjective. How do examiners figure out what's undue? Is there a test?
There is, actually. Well, not a single test, but a set of factors. They come from another big case in Wands. The Wands factors give examiners a framework to figure out if the amount of trial and error needed is reasonable or, well, undue.
The Wands factors.
Right.
Right. What kind of things do they look at?
There are 8 of them. They cover things like how predictable the technology is. Is it a field where things usually work as expected, or is it more trial and error?
Okay.
They also look at the breadth of the claims. How wide are you trying to go? The amount of guidance in the patent itself, the skill level in the field, are there working examples provided? And ultimately, just how much experimentation would someone really need to do?
So it's not just one thing. It's a whole picture they look at, trying to gauge how much heavy lifting the patent leaves for others to figure out.
Precisely. And a case that shows where enablement can fail is Citric v. DreamWorks. Remember that one? What was the issue there?
Citric. Yeah, that patent was about modifying digital stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like video games and also movies.
Correct.
And the problem was that the patent did a decent job explaining how to modify the video games, but kind of fell short on the movie side.
Exactly. The court found that, okay, maybe someone skilled in the art could figure out the video game part based on the patent, but applying those same ideas to movies, that required too big a leap, too much experimentation that wasn't guided by the patent. It was undue.
So even though part of the claim was enabled, the video game part, the whole claim covering both was invalid because the movie part wasn't enabled.
That's right. Enablement has to match the full scope of the claim. If a significant part of the claim isn't enabled, the whole claim can fail.
Wow. Okay. That's a tough standard.
Yeah.
So written description, enablement. Got it. Let's hit the third one from section 2161. Best mode. What's this requirement about?
Best mode is about honesty, in a way. It means that if the inventor, at the time of filing, had a preferred way, a best way they knew of to carry out their invention, they have to disclose it in the patent. They can't deliberately conceal their favorite method or embodiment.
Okay, but I thought the AIA, the American Invents Act, changed things with best mode. Didn't it make it less of a big deal in lawsuits?
You're remembering correctly. The AIA did take away best mode as a defense in patent infringement litigation, meaning you can't usually get a patent declared invalid in court just because the inventor didn't disclose the best mode.
Right.
But, and this is a big, but it's still in the statute. 35 U.S.C. 112A still requires it. So inventors still have that obligation.
So hold on. You can't lose your patent in court over it, but you still have to do it. How does that work?
Well, the patent office examiners, they still look for it. During examination, they assess if the best mode requirement seems to be met. It's still part of getting the patent granted in the first place.
Okay. So it matters during examination,
Right.
Even if not so much later in court.
Exactly. And the MPEP lays out a 2-part way to check for best mode compliance.
2 parts. What are they?
First part is subjective. Did the inventor personally actually know of a better way, a preferred mode, when they filed? It's about their state of mind.
Okay. Subjective. And the second part?
That's objective. If the answer to the first part is yes, if they did know of a best mode, then the question is, did the patent specification disclose that mode well enough? Enough detail so that someone skilled in the art could actually practice it?
So first, did they know it? Second, did they share it adequately?
You got it. And the MPEP gives some guidance, especially for software inventions, which can be tricky. What's the general idea there?
For software, I think it says you don't always need to dump in the actual source code or super detailed flowcharts. Describing the function might be enough.
That's generally true, yeah. As long as that functional description is complete and clear, it needs to be enough for a skilled programmer to understand how the software does what it's claimed to do and then, implement it. The focus is on the how it works.
Okay, that makes sense. So we've got written description, enablement, and best mode. It really feels like they're designed to work together, doesn't it, to make sure the patent system is fair?
Absolutely. The MPEP calls them a triad, a group of 3 working together to protect the integrity of the whole patent disclosure system.
A triad. How so? What's the big picture goal they achieve together?
Well, think about the patent bargain. The inventor gets exclusive rights for a limited time.
Right, the monopoly.
Exactly. In exchange for that, the public gets something valuable, knowledge. These 3 requirements ensure that the knowledge the public receives is full, fair, and usable.
So others can learn from it, use it after the patent expires, and maybe even build on it sooner.
Precisely. It fuels further innovation. It ensures the patent system actually promotes progress, which is its constitutional purpose.
It all ties back to that fundamental exchange. Makes sense.
And again, we really have to thank Mike Shepard for his leadership in making the series happen, breaking down these complex rules.
Definitely. And speaking of making things clear, we have a necessary note for everyone listening.
Yes, please pay attention to this. Disclaimer. This summary of the MPEP was generated using AI tools, including ChatGPT and NotebookLM, and may contain errors or omissions.
It's provided for general educational and informational purposes only. It is absolutely not legal advice or a substitute for formal instruction.
For authoritative guidance, you really need to consult the official MPEP itself, talk to a qualified instructor, or get advice from a registered patent practitioner. Please rely on the official sources.
Very important. So, as we wrap up this look at Section 2161, here's something for you to think about. There's this tension, right? An inventor wants the broadest possible claims to protect their idea comprehensively.
Naturally.
But, as we've just discussed, they also have these demanding disclosure requirements, written description, enablement, best mode, that require significant detail. So how does striking that balance between claiming broadly and disclosing fully ultimately benefit both the inventor and the public in the long run? Worth pondering. Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.